You are listening to the very first episode of the Any Given Sunday podcast. I am your host, Manny Brown, and it is a pleasure to be back with you guys, man. It has been a long 2 months. I feel like I've been in Siberia. I feel like I've been locked up for the last 2 months, man. So much on my mind, so much to talk about in the world of sports. It took a little bit of a hiatus. Obviously, if you guys have been listening with me or if you guys have been rocking with me from the beginning, you guys know we've been doing the Technical Foul podcast now for 2 years, or before this show, 2 years. And, it just felt like it was time for a change. It felt like it was time for a rebrand. Obviously, those of you who were with me from the beginning know that the show, we had a little bit of a similarity conflict as far as the name goes with 2 or 3 other podcasts. We won't get into that. And we just felt like it was time. Felt like it was time to I felt like it was time to rebrand the show. Felt like it was a good time to kind of set our own identity. 2 years of trugging along. It's been a good 2 years though, man. It's been a really good 2 years. It's been a blast to do this show and a blast to get my feet wet in the world of podcasting, man. I love it. I love what I do. And the feedback that I've gotten, it's amazing because, you do a podcast and it's like, it's fun and, you get guests or whatever, but it's amazing how much feedback and how much love I've gotten for the last 2 months as far as like, where's the podcast? Like, and I keep telling people like, oh yeah, I'm coming back, I'm just rebranding, doing a logo, churching on my show, whatever, find a new host. Just doing a whole bunch of housekeeping stuff, right? And everybody's like, we just waiting on a new podcast, so many people have reached out to me. So I appreciate every single person, people I know, within the podcasting community, my friends, family. Everybody, man, that has just checked in, that has just given me their feedback, their love and their support, man. It actually feels good that you do something and people actually appreciate it and love what you do and love what you bring. So it's amazing, man. It's really, really cool. It's humbling, honestly. It's humbling because it's like, you don't really know if you're good or people actually like your things. People tell you all the time, they listen to your show, but you always, if there's a skeptical bone in your body, you're always like, do you really listen to my show or you just, BSing me? But, it's humbling to know that people actually like and support your show and like what you do and feel like you're a talented dude. So it's cool, man. I really appreciate all the love and the positives and the praise and everything that I've gotten, man. It's so cool. It's really, really humbling. So, it's dope. It's dope. So I am back. I am back. The Technical Foul podcast is no more. It's a blast doing that, but we are now Any Given Sunday. It's a Sunday morning sports conversation, basically. It's me talking to my friends, talking to interesting guests in the sports world, not just the sports world. Anybody. It's still a sports show at the core. We're going to get into sports. We're going to get into issues about sports and the news items of the week. But, some weeks, we might veer off into hip hop, or we might veer off into music, or we might veer off into, movies, or we might veer off into politics or whatever comes to mind any given Sunday, and that's kind of the essence of the show. It's a Sunday morning sports conversation that could turn into something else, and it's me talking to my friends, talking to people that I find interesting. Every week we'll have a guest. Somebody that I want to talk to, that I want to sit down and have a one-on-one, pick their brains about, not just sports, but politics, but, music, whatever the case may be, whatever comes to mind, and, that's basically the core of the show. It's still going to have the same kind of vibe to Technical Foul podcast, so to speak, in the sense that, it's unfiltered, it's uncut, we're not PC. We're not trying. This is a place where we come and we just say our real opinions. And some people may agree. Some people may not agree. Some people may not like how we say some things. Some people will find it a breath of fresh air. We're not going to be all things for everybody. Some people are not going to like the show. And, some people probably didn't like the style of the old podcast. And that's cool. You know what I'm saying? But, I'm a big believer that if you don't like something, just don't support it. Don't listen to it. Don't like it. If I don't like country music, I don't sit there and say, well, all country music shows or all country music stations should be banned. No, it's just not for me. If it's for you, great, wonderful. Enjoy it. Do you? You know what I mean? So I think that this podcast is loved by a lot of people, and I think it's going to be appreciated by a lot of people. But if you don't like it, it's cool. I respect it. But we're not going to change. We're still going to be the same. We're going to still be in the same mold, in the same vein, and just try to deliver a great quality show week in and week out. So that's the goal. It's amazing, man. It's like you take a break for 2 months. It feels like you've missed so much in the sports world. Like 2 months in the sports calendar is like an eternity. It really feels it feels like 2 years. I mean, because the last time we talked was, October, like early October, like the first week of October. I think it was like right before the playoffs started, if I'm not mistaken. It's crazy. It's crazy how long that's been. So, we had obviously the entire MLB postseason happen and play out. Congratulations to the Boston Red Sox for winning the World Series in dominant fashion. One of the dominant postseason runs we've seen. The team beat the Yankees in 4 games, beat the Astros in 5 games, and then, beat the Dodgers in 5 games. So essentially they lost 3 games in the entire postseason. So an amazing run for the Red Sox. And, it's always sweeter when it's the Red Sox beating the Yankees. I'm not a Red Sox fan. I just love seeing the Yankees lose, as you guys know. But, no, congratulations to them. We crowned a champion in baseball. Obviously, college basketball has cranked up. We will definitely be getting into that through the course of the year with the new show. College football season's kind of wrapped up. Congratulations to Kyler Murray for winning the Heisman last night. So yeah, I mean, a lot of things have happened. Obviously, the NFL season is starting to wind down. We're in December. We're in crunch time. So, I mean, it's crazy, man. And then all the stories, from Kareem Hunt to, coaches getting fired to, the death of George W. Bush. I mean, it's not sports related, but all these things. I mean, it's amazing. 2 months is a long time. Not just in the sports world, but in just life and in the constant 24/7 news cycle that is 2018. I mean, it's a long time to not do a show. So it feels good to be back. It feels good to be in the lab, man. It really, really does, man. As far as my guests for this week, as far as the structure of the show, before I get to the guests, but as far as the structure of the show, I always kick off the show with a little bit of an opening monologue, just my thoughts on kind of the stories of the week, just kind of the news items of the week. We get in, I'll try to stick to about 3 things that, kind of on my mind as far as the sports week goes. And then the second half of the show will be our guest. Like I said, it could be, it'll be sports writers, it'll be sports podcasters, it'll be, hopefully, knocking on wood, big time sports guests. And sometimes it could be, political hosts. It could be, a news writer talking about music, music critic or whatever. I mean, whoever. We'll try to branch out because, I want this show to appeal to a lot of people. It's not going to be all things to everybody, like I said, but I want it to appeal to everybody. And I want it to appeal to a variety of people because, there's a lot of different people that are sports fans. It's not just, there's people that listen to music podcasts that also like sports. So why not blend the two and give it a little bit of a sprinkle? And plus in the sports world, believe it or not, there are down periods. Like, right after the Super Bowl, it's kind of a quiet time in the sports world, as you guys know. It's kind of it's the doldrums of February. There's really 2 dead times in the sports calendar. February, right after the Super Bowl for about 3 weeks. It's that in-between time between the Super Bowl and really kind of the start of March Madness, where it's kind of a little bit of a quiet period, a dead time in sports. You got spring training starting up, but realistically, the NBA season's kind of in and out of the clouds. You got the All-Star game. If you're into that, I'm not. So, it's kind of a known dead time of the year. And then the other dead time I would say is July. That's really kind of a dead time in the sports calendar, really. Baseball's kind of in its, dog days or starting to be in its dog days. You got the MLB All-Star game, but, nothing really, anything going on that really gets your juices going. So, those will be the times where we'll experiment. We'll get some get different guests on and people that want to be a part of the podcast. So, yeah, but as far as the structure of the show goes, yeah, I'll start off with an opening monologue and then the second half will be my guest. And then, the third part kind of be a summation of the show. My one big thing or my one big item, can't do fouls anymore. Although I've thought about doing fouls. We'll see. People like the fouls part, so we might keep that. We might bring that over from the show, from the last podcast. So we'll see. But yeah, man. My guest this week is gonna be my brother, my friend, a guy I've known for 10 years. Like I said, I consider him a brother. Justin Tribal, who's been on the show before. He's co-hosted a couple times on the old show. We're going to talk about a lot of things. It's just kind of a potpourri of sports for today. He's a Bucks fan. He's a Celtics fan. Don't ask me why he's a Bucks fan. Still can't understand he's a Bucks fan, but whatever. He's a Bucks fan. He's a Celtics fan. And we're just going to get into it, man. I'm sure we're going to get into the Celtics. I'm sure we're going to get into the Bucks, but we're going to get into a lot of things. And he's got strong opinions. Some would say whacked out sports opinions, but, that's Jet, man. That's Jet. So he's going to be on the show in a few minutes here, joining me. So we're going to take a little bit of a break, and then we're going to come back and we're going to have Justin on the show. All right. So keep listening, and, we'll be back. You are listening to Any Given Sunday, a Sunday morning sports conversation. Please subscribe to this podcast on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Google Play, Podbean, and all other podcasting services. Follow us on Facebook at Any Given Sunday, on Twitter at AGS Pod, and on Instagram at AGS Podcast. Thank you for listening, and enjoy the show. Yo, welcome back to the show. I got my brother, I got my friend, got my confidant, Mr. Justin Tribal. What's good, bro?
Hey, what's good, man? It's good to be back. Thanks for the nice in.
I figured that, you're the first guest on the official new podcast, so I figured that'd be nice, right? Gotta be nice, right? We got to start off nice. We might get contentious as the conversation goes. Who knows? But
I mean, tis the season to be nice. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I was telling them, I was giving you a brief little introduction before that before I brought you on that, you got some kind of whacked out sports views. So,
Bruh, don't make me pull up the receipts. You have literally the worst opinions of anybody I know. I have no idea how we're still friends. Bro, you said that a McChicken is better than a Chick-fil-A, and I wanted to fly to Seattle and beat you myself.
Hey,
you were wow.
Was I wow?
Yeah, you wow.
Bruh, I think Chick-fil-A is the most overrated fucking restaurant on earth, bruh. It's okay.
And they're mad polite too. When you go,
that's okay. That's wonderful. I don't care. That doesn't make their food good.
The food is good.
I guess.
Over that?
I didn't put McDonald's over anything. I'm just saying that I don't think.
Put a McChicken over it, bro.
I think a McChicken is better. I think a McChicken is better than anything Chick-fil-A serves, chicken wise. I swear to God, their fries are cool. Their fries are good.
Chick-fil-A's spicy chicken sandwich is like handed down from God and Allah themselves.
Yeah, I'm sure they are. These niggas' food is average at best, and then they got the nerve to be conservative, right-wing religious nuts that don't believe women should have their own reproductive rights. Like, fuck out of here.
That don't got nothing to do with my chicken sandwich.
Oh, okay, but their politeness has everything to do. Get the hell out of here.
Hey, I mean, you gotta make food with love, bro.
I guess.
Who got a better chicken sandwich than that?
Everybody, basically.
Nigga, don't say Zaxby's. Zaxby's is good.
I've never had Zaxby's.
We was in Georgia for how long? You ain't had
I never had Zaxby's. I know, bro. And then I lived in Florida for 3 years, and I never had Zaxby's, bro. Never.
It's pretty fire.
Everybody keeps telling me it's good. I've never had it. I just never had a chance to. I never had a chance to have it. You know what I mean? I always wondered, like, oh, it looks like it's good, but I just never.
Yeah, Zaxby's straight.
I mean, don't get me wrong, Chick-fil-A, I could eat it, but it's like I feel like people overhype Chick-fil-A. That's my issue with Chick-fil-A. Like, niggas overhype Chick-fil-A
because it's fresh, bro. Like, it actually tastes like a chicken sandwich that you would get like at a restaurant.
Yo, don't get me wrong. Damn, Saquon Barkley is. My bad, I'm watching Red Zone. Saquon Barkley is just running through the Redskins. Like, this is sad.
Hey, I have to like dial back like all the like Saquon. I didn't put any hate on the kid as far as I remember. I really disagree with the draft, like them picking him up, and it looks like that was the best. Cause I still think it was the wrong decision still, cause I still think they needed a quarterback, and I feel like honestly though, bro, like who's really lighting it up that they could have had?
Well, but here's the thing, like, okay, like I think this quarterback class is going to be very good. I really do. I still believe in this quarterback class. I'm not saying it because I'm a Jets fan. And like Darnold's been okay. Like you got to think about the situations. Like you think about it. Like Sam Darnold came into the Jets. He's got Todd Bowles coaching him. A fucking horrible situation. You got, I just realized we just made a hell of a transition from Chick-fil-A to talk about the quarterback class. That's like Radio 101 right there. Just a hell of a transition right there. But seriously, you got to look at the situations that these guys are in. Like Baker Mayfield is in Cleveland, like, and he's been up and down, like, but like Rick, I don't
pretty good when he's supposed to look good, and then
here's the thing, like I don't judge rookie quarterbacks on their statistics and all that. Like I really don't, because it's like it's not fair. It's not an accurate assessment in my opinion. Like, just look at recently, like, look at Jared Goff and Carson Wentz's rookie years. Like, they weren't exactly, like, light them up, shoot them up. Oh my God, they were great. And then you look at Jameis Winston and, Mariota's rookie seasons. They had really good, Marcus Mariota had a very good rookie season. Would anybody put Marcus Mariota as a franchise upper echelon quarterback right now? No. I mean, he's okay. He's good. He's decent. But, you're not starting your franchise right now with Marcus Mariota.
No. You know
what I'm saying? So I feel like we get caught up in rookies, like, because every once in a while you have those Cam Newtons, you have those RG3s, you have those Andrew Lucks that come into the league and set the world on fire. Ben Roethlisberger, 13, 14, 15 years ago. That just balled out their
rookie year. He was a game manager.
Exactly, yeah. But I mean, he came in and played better than people expected, and all that. So I think that people kind of get caught up in that, and like, oh, every quarterback's supposed to do that. Like, no, right. Like I remember, I'm old enough to remember like where like rookie quarterbacks, they weren't playing their first year.
Right. Yeah. I mean, sometimes first, second year they weren't playing, but I think a lot of it too comes from like, so much gets put on these young quarterbacks to be the savior, to like save. Like, look how they thought of Baker Mayfield. Like, Baker Mayfield is going to come in and he's going to change the Browns. And like their front office has made some moves. Firing Hugh Jackson was kind of a step in kind of changing the culture there.
Right.
But even with the Jets, like, okay, Sam Darnold's going to come in and he's going to transform this franchise. And however many other teams that we've seen, they put these unrealistic pressures on them. And with the quarterback position being so transcendent now, like, so much is put on these guys when they come into the league. And it's borderline, like, not fair. And I know, like, a lot of people are like, oh, bro, like, they make millions of dollars. It's and a third.
Yeah.
But it's like, like, they're still young men. Like, Baker Mayfield's, 22 years old, 23 years old?
I think he's the oldest one out of all of them. He's like 23, 24.
For instance, Jameis Winston is 24 years old.
Sam Darnold is 20.
And
they're 21, I think.
Like, these guys, like, Mariota, I think, is maybe 25.
Yeah.
Like, these are guys that you're, just like you said, when they come in the league, they used to not start right away.
Yeah.
But now, you get handed the keys to a franchise when you're a 21-year-old kid. You got to learn a whole new offense, whole new city, new teammates, new way of doing things. Like, that's a hard adjustment just for anybody moving to a new city and starting a brand new job. You don't know anybody, all of this. But throw in that you have these expectations from fans, you have expectations from coaches, you have expectations from front office and the fucking media. Like, that's why I always try and, like, curb expectations with, like, players in general. I'm like, all right, like, maybe shit didn't work out right now, but, like, give us some time, let niggas get comfortable and shit.
I think what else has had a kind of it's weird because you would think it'd be the other way instead of, the way it went, but I think the rookie scales had a lot to do with it too, because I think that in the past where you were paying guys, which I always hated that the fact that like first round picks would get like 6 years, 49 million. Like I just never understood that. Like Jamarcus Russell got like 7 years, like got a 6-year deal, 50 million or something. I'm off on the figures, but he got
paid though.
He got paid. Yeah. He got paid as a rookie. And then obviously we know how that played out. So I think in a lot of ways the rookie scale has helped, but I also think it's abbreviated the process for these quarterbacks to play. Cause now I think teams are like, well, these guys aren't making a lot of money. We got to build a team around them. Let's play these guys quick. It's not going to cost us any. I think in the past it was different because I feel like in the past
it's not as heavy. If you miss on a quarterback, 10 years ago, that's going to set your franchise back
10 years, easily 10 years, easily 10 years. Now it may set your franchise back maybe 5. It's like
maybe not even.
Yeah, 5. Yeah, it'll set your franchise back 5 years. but it wouldn't be the massive hit on your cap like it was in the past. Like, and in the past too, I feel like if I was a GM, like, I'd be worrisome about playing these guys knowing they weren't ready, knowing I'm paying them $20 million from the jump. Like, you know what I'm saying? Now, when you're only making like $5 million, like, bro, let's see what this kid can do. Like, a
key thing too is, like, think about how different the offenses in college used to be versus how different it was in the pros. But now you have teams adapting to the spread, adopting RPO, type plays. Like, I'm watching my Bucks right now. Jameis Winston just ran an RPO with Peyton Barber.
Yeah.
Hit Adam Humphries. Like,
I saw that. Yeah.
It's such a good tool to use if you have a quarterback that can understand, okay, I need to run, I need to pass.
I still think it's a huge transition from the NFL or from the college. I mean, the offenses are starting to get similar, but I still think there's like some nuances that I think people still don't talk about, like the speed of the game, going through your progressions, the multiple reads, like even in college, even though the offenses are similar, you still don't have those multiple reads that you're going to have in college. I mean, it was interesting because I was watching some halftime show yesterday. I think I was watching the Army Navy game or whatever show I was watching.
Bro, that game was so fucking boring. Oh my God.
I mean, I'm into the pageantry of it, and all that, but yeah, I know it's never like watching Ohio State, Michigan or anything. Like, it's a game. It's more of a history, and if you're in the armed services, you root for Army or you root for Navy, whatever.
It's a cool rivalry, and I appreciate.
You appreciate the history. Like, if you're a sports fan, you could appreciate the history of it. And I like it because it's like these cats aren't all 5-star recruits that are all going to have futures in the NFL. Like, no, like some of these dudes are never going to play in the NFL.
All on the line. Like, there's something about the effort.
That is their Super Bowl. I mean, think about it. That's their Super Bowl. You know what I mean? That's their bowl game, so they're just damn, the Giants are killing these dudes. But
Amish just got fucked up.
It's crazy. But, all right, so I know people were going to bring up Patrick Mahomes and his kind of development and what he's done and whatnot. And look, I will be the first to admit that I was wrong about Patrick Mahomes. Me and my feelings on Big 12 quarterbacks. I feel like those dudes, and I still, to a certain extent, feel like Big 12 quarterbacks are not exactly guys that I like to gamble on because, I mean, the Big 12 is it's hard. I'm not a scout, so I don't sit there and scout quarterbacks and go through what they do on this play and this scenario and, how they go through multiple reads and progress. I mean, me, none of us are on that high level shit. But I don't know. The Big 12 is such a hard league because I mean, it's really arena football. I mean, honestly, it's fucking arena football at the college level. So sometimes it's kind of hard to get a gauge on these dudes. Like, is this dude legit? Is this dude not? And a lot of dudes, and you got to be fair. Like, a lot of the Big 12 quarterbacks have been busts in the past. So,
that's the last good one besides Pat Mahomes.
Yeah, exactly. RG, people are going to bring up Robert Griffin. Yeah, his rookie year, that was it. So
I think that was more injury than anything.
Yeah, it was more injury. It was more injury. It was
where it's fair, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it was more injury than anything else. But facts are the facts.
I'll never forget niggas gassing up Blaine Gabbert, and he is with less accuracy.
Blaine Gabbert got so much hype, and what did he turn out to be? Like, there were people actually debating Blaine Gabbert over Cam Newton in that draft. Remember? Mm-hmm. Like, so yeah, but I mean, so I know people.
Mel Kiper.
Oh, Mel
was dying on that hill about Blaine Gabbert.
Oh my God! Oh, Mel Kiper. Mel's gonna go. Yeah, he's gonna. No, but seriously, like, people are gonna bring up Mahomes, and look, like I said, I was wrong about Mahomes, but you also have to admit, he sat out his entire rookie year, which the Chiefs were smart about. They didn't feel they had Alex Smith, so that was a good thing, and also they didn't feel pressure to have to play him right away, so they let him sit for a year because. Truth be told, I think if he played last year, and I know he played that last game of the regular season, that don't count to me. The fucking, whoever they were playing, they weren't playing for nothing. So I can't really get a true evaluation of that. But I think they were good to not play him all year. Cause maybe last year if they play him, maybe he isn't ready. Maybe he isn't ready to make that transition from Big 12, Texas Tech to running the Kansas City Chiefs off. Maybe he is. We'll never know, obviously. But I think it's also good that he's got Andy Reid. He's got the fucking weapons around him. Like, it's not a fair comparison to say, well, Patrick Mahomes is good and, Josh Allen isn't. It's like that's kind of not fair. Like, let's be real. But I think
I'm not the biggest Josh Allen guy. I think he's shown some flashes.
He's shown some flashes. I still don't believe in him all the way just yet.
Accuracy's still kind of questionable to me.
Yeah.
You're right. I've seen from Baker, like I haven't watched a lot of Browns games. I don't think anybody has outside of the city of Cleveland, but I was kind of a Baker guy coming out of Oklahoma, and I've seen him put a lot of I've seen him drop a lot of dimes. Like he's pretty accurate, and he puts some zip on the ball to get to ball.
He does.
In these windows. You know who he kind of like the way that he throws the ball. It reminds me. I'm got a blast from the past here, but it kind of reminds me of Mark Balder. Just that his way of throwing into windows with that tight little zip. It reminds me a lot of Mark Bulger. And I know a lot of people were like, damn, like Mark Bulger, like, but he had some really good fucking years.
He did. Mark Bulger was a good quarterback for a while. People were like, he wasn't like a superstar, but he was a good, solid NFL quarterback. Like, people forget that. I've always said this. I like Baker in college. I got a kick out of him. I liked him, and I think he was going to be a solid NFL quarterback. I don't know if he's superstar, franchise altering, once in a generation type quarterback. I don't think he's there yet. I don't see that. Now I could be wrong with that also.
We haven't seen too many of them lately, so.
Darnold, I've been fair on Darnold. He's been good at times and he's been bad at times. He's played 9 games. They just have played 12 games. He's missed 3 of them with the foot. So he's played 9 games. And
he's hurt, or do you think that they're kind of?
No, I think he's hurt. I think he was hurt. Now I'll be on record as saying I think what's the point of playing him this year, the rest of the year?
Yeah.
In a sense, I think I would have shut him down. That's just me, my thinking as a fan. I'm not an expert. I'm not a coach. I'm not in that. I'm not in those meetings. I'm not in practice every week. So take that for what you will. But I would have shut him down myself. The risk is too great. I don't want to risk. And he already was kind of limping off today and went back to the locker room. I guess got retaped. So to me, I just don't risk it with Darnold. But Darnold's played 9 games and he's had about 4 to 5 really good games. He's had about 2 so-so games, and he's had 2 really awful games. Like the game against the Vikings, he was bad, and the game against he had about 3 bad games. The Browns game against Baker, he was bad. The game against I want to say the Vikings, he was bad, and there was another game thrown in there where he was just really, really bad. Like he just was like, you got to play better. But then he's had some great games. He had a great game against Denver. I mean, he lit Denver up, and Denver's got a good defense. They're in the playoff hunt. Like Denver's a decent, solid team, and he lit Denver up. I know that was like week 4 or 5 or something, but still counts.
At the time, their defense was playing well, but they've been pretty shit outside of Von Miller and Bradley Chubb.
Yeah, but I mean, you still got it. Credit goes where credit's due.
You got to take it for what it is.
And then he went toe to toe, blow for blow, throw for throw with Andrew Luck and outdueled him. So he's had his moments where he's been good. So I think the assessment on Sam Darnold has been he gets a C. I think he gets a C minus right now. Like I think there's more to see. I think you really just kind of circle back to the conversation. I feel like you can really judge a quarterback. I think after year 3, you should be seeing some progression with a quarterback. Like, honestly, I think the first 2 years, even year 2 is still a maturation phase, still a, okay, let's see what this kid can do. Let's see if he learned from his rookie. I think by year 3, okay, like he either is or he isn't. And that's where I think you can really start assessing a quarterback. In my opinion.
Yeah, I think it's fair. And, obviously, not everything can be, static. It really is dependent on situation because Jared Goff looked like an all-time horrible quarterback.
Exactly.
He got benched for
Case Keenum.
There we go. And he looked bad. And then magically you get rid of fucking Jeff Fisher, who's a terrible coach.
Right.
And who would have thought that if you change some coaches, get some kind of offensive philosophy and you tailor your offense to make the offense easier for your quarterback. Like I saw a lot of people talking shit about McVay and how he, calls in a play for for Goff and, says blah, 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 blah. They take advantage of the time that you have, between the coach and the player on the field and the headset. Mm-hmm. And I saw a lot of people criticizing that. And I'm like, why would you not put your quarterback in the best possible situation to make the best possible play?
Exactly.
It benefits you both. It benefits you as a coach, benefits the player, so that he can learn, he can see what you see as the coach.
Right.
That makes him better. That makes the team better. And I just don't understand. It's like these fucking football purists sometimes.
Well, because you know the get off my lawn folks. You know that. Yeah. So there are always going to be those folks. Plus, there's always people that are going to try to knock Sean McVay off his perch because he's getting so much love and hype, and he's kind of changing the league. He deserves it. I mean, the guy's been a legit coach.
He's a savant.
He's
bro, there's no way this. Dude's what, 31?
He's like 34 or something like that. He's not that much older than us. That's the crazy part when I think about it. But yeah, man, I mean, the dude is a hell of a coach.
He's a year younger than me.
He's a hell of a coach. He is absolutely a hell of a coach. I can't lie. I can't sit there and be snarky or cynical like I tend to be sometimes. He's a hell of a coach. I've been impressed with what I've seen so far. But yeah, I mean, Jared Goff, and a lot of that has been Sean McVay, but a lot of that has been Jared Goff. He's just matured. He's improved. He's gotten better. He's gone through the normal maturation process that guys take. That's a good thing.
You get an actual offense instead of fucking Jeff Fisher.
Exactly.
And wow, lo and behold, you can
amazing, right? You get an offensive line. You have a stud running back. Like, it's amazing how guys can play good when they actually have an infrastructure around them. So it's.
Well, Gurley was there,
but you know what I mean. Like,
it's fucking Jeff Fisher.
But Gurley developed into he kept his maturation going. He became Todd Gurley. Young, promising running back to superstar running back. So he's
reminds me. I was like, I do the reminder thing because of you know what I mean. That's just in the air. But Gurley reminds me of like one of those running backs from the early 2000s that were able to do a little bit of everything. Like,
yeah. I had this discussion with a guy at work the other day. Todd Gurley or Ezekiel Elliott? I answered Ezekiel Elliott. For me.
I would have to say Gurley.
I mean, you can't go wrong with either. You can't go wrong with either.
I think Gurley gives you a little bit more pass game. Zeke's no slouch.
Zeke's underrated in the pass game, though. And the Cowboys are fighting. And I think people are finding that out this year because people he's actually become a receiver for them. I think the last couple of years they didn't really use him much out of the backfield as a receiver, but they've opened there because they've had to, because they remember before they got Amari Cooper, their offense was just basically shit. So they had to use Ezekiel Elliott as a receiver, and they've been surprised, but he's to me it's like choosing between a Benz and a Mercedes, or a Mercedes and a Beamer, realistically, you can't go wrong with either one, honestly, But me personally, I like Zeke a little bit more. He's kind of my traditional bruising running back. Like, Zeke's a bruiser. Gurley's more. I mean, Gurley's a bruiser too, but he's more of shiftiness, elusiveness, all out speed. Zeke's more of a power, just 30, 40 carries a game type. Not saying that Gurley can't do that either. Gurley runs your of LaDainian Tomlinson. Yeah, there's some similarities there. Yeah.
Obviously, he's not LT.
Right.
Nobody's LT.
Right.
But he's more he can kind of do it a little bit of both. And, Zeke's just so strong, and he's got such good vision.
Yeah.
He's it just reminds me, they remind me of the 2000 running backs where we had guys like fucking Ricky Williams, and we had Sean Taylor, and we had Corey Dillon, and
that's who Ezekiel Elliott reminds me of. Ricky
Corey
Williams.
Dillon?
No, Ricky Williams.
Yeah, for sure. Just a strong runner that just hits you at the line of scrimmage, and if you try and tackle him, he's going to punish you. And Ricky Williams is a beast. He was one of my favorite players back in the day. Saquon reminds me, and I think I said this before, but Saquon reminds me of Priest Holmes.
Yeah, that's a good count.
He reminds me of Priest Holmes a lot. I think Gurley, is maybe more, not so much LT, so I can probably dial it back. He's actually kind of Edgerrin Taylor. Like, I think
Edgerrin James?
Yeah, when I say Edgerrin Taylor, I was thinking Sean Taylor, but or Fred Taylor. I was combining like three guys. But yeah, Edgerrin James. He reminds me of Edgerrin James. Just a guy that can kind of catch about as well as he can run. But when he runs, he's going to run.
Yeah, no, it's a great, in a while, like, we kind of had that middling crop of running backs that, like, for like a good 5-year period, we didn't get, and now I'm glad to see that the running backs are starting to come back. So,
no, it was looking like it was a dead position.
Yeah, it was crazy. Like, not even like 5 years ago, people were having this debate, like, is the running back position dead?
Yeah,
and
we didn't have, like, we had AP.
Aaron Foster, guys. Yeah. Outside of Adrian Peterson and Chris Johnson, I mean, you had guys popping up here and there, but it wasn't like that, like, now you got Todd Gurley, you got Zeke, you got Saquon Barkley now, you got David Johnson in Arizona, you got, David Johnson reminds me of Marshall Faulk. Like, I mean, it's a good class.
You got a lot of young up and coming guys. You got Nick Chubb.
Nick Chubb. Yeah.
I think Rashard Penny is going to be really good up in Seattle. I think he's going to be a stud.
Before he got hurt, Darius Geis would have been a beast too.
Yeah, I think he'll be back.
He'll be back.
I wanted the Bucs to draft him so bad, but we got fucking Ronald Jones, and this nigga can't even see the field. He's a scratch.
Yeah, Darius Geis would have been nice too. Fournette, when he's healthy, is a beast.
I think Fournette's never going to be healthy because his running style isn't conducive to staying healthy. Like, he's just a classic, like, fucking
bruising.
Run you over rather than run through you.
And that's the thing. He has the speed and the elusiveness to be.
He's like Earl Campbell, bro. Like, he'd rather run into you than run around you. And,
hopefully he learns that. Hopefully he learns to.
Hopefully. I think his vision's not the best, honestly. Where we see guys, see, and then they can make a one cut, cut back. He's not that type of runner. He's a downhill runner. But I think, and also some of this could be on fucking Jacksonville's,
play calling.
A couple years ago. And
are they the most disappointing team this year? Although I thought that they were going to kind of come back to earth a little bit. I thought that gambling
we talked about this last year, and I kept saying that they're. Oh shit! Bucks got a fumble recovery. Is that JPP? That might be the signing of the season. Like
Jason Pierre-Paul.
Like, yeah, he's been a baller for us. But anyway, no, I think you and I talked about this last year with the Jags, because I think I was like, we were talking about like where they rank up, like, defensively, and I was like, they're good, but like, peep the schedule, because that's usually what I always say when there's a team playing really well or there's a team playing really poorly. I almost always say check the schedule. Just look at it. That's going to give you so much more context versus wins and losses or yards versus touchdowns and shit like that, because you can have a team that's playing really, really well. Look at the Redskins, perfect example. They were playing great at the beginning of the year. Terrible. They had the easiest strength of schedule in the NFL. Obviously, you lose a guy like Alex Smith, who, prayers up, hopefully he doesn't have to lose his leg. I don't know if you heard about that.
Yeah, I heard about that. Yeah, that's crazy, man.
But
God, that's crazy.
Yeah. He got the bag, though, so good for him.
It's crazy. I mean, them infections, man, are serious.
Yeah. I mean, it can be a scary thing, man. Like, it was a compound fracture, and, the infection can set in really quickly, and, hopefully he's good to go.
At this point, it's not even about him playing again. It's about just him not, keeping his leg. Yeah, keeping his leg.
But yeah, man. So the Jags just they had that high flying year, and when have we seen defenses put together multiple years of success? Like, you don't see too much anymore where defenses are dominant year in, year out. Really,
no, it's not designed to. It's not designed to anymore.
They'll have one good year. They'll have one elite year. They'll have a top year. And then they'll kind of go down. But, I mean, I think them niggas was just feeling themselves a little too much. I like Jalen, I like Jalen Ramsey. I fuck with him heavy. He's a Florida State guy. I love when football players start getting spicy. and they're competitive. They're not all in this buddy shit. Like, I want a corner that's going to talk it up. Like, yeah, throw my way.
But the problem that I had with Jalen Ramsey, the issue that I had with Jalen Ramsey is you can't sit there and basically give your dissertation of the quarterbacks in the league and your quarterback is Blake Bortles. I'm sorry. That can't happen. It's like you're a dude that's sitting here bashing chicks for being gold diggers and schemers and look at these hoes and look at these chicks, they ain't nothing, and then you married to Kim Kardashian. It's like you're not really, or you're married to some chick that's got like 6 kids with 5 different men and doesn't have a job and is on welfare. Like, are you really the right person to really be talking about this topic? So that was my issue with that. I mean, look, Jalen Ramsey, nobody's going to argue Jalen Ramsey's great. I just think that he kind of put his foot in his mouth a little bit this year. And when you talk all that shit in GQ in July or August, whenever you do, you can't go out there and be 4-9 on the season.
And I will give it.
And your defense has been disappointing as well. So it hasn't all been the offense. It's been the defense too. The defense has not been as good as they were last year. That being said, the problem with the Jags is that they got finessed by Blake Bortles. They bought into the 4 or 5 game hot streak that Blake Bortles had. And they were like, oh, it's Blake Bortles. And you know what? They were kind of stuck in a rock and a hard place because it's like he did play so well that you're like, it's kind of fucked up to say like, okay, we're just going to trade this dude or not sign him or not pick him up or not offer him a tender. But it's like, realistically, they got finessed. They fell for it.
They had to have known that.
Also, they've had 4 or 5 years to look at this guy. Like, so they based their decision on 5 games, essentially. Essentially, they based their decision on 5 games. So they didn't factor in the 4 years that they saw previously. They based it on 5 games that he played well. And again, nobody's going to take it away. He played well. Outplayed Ben Roethlisberger. Played good in that AFC Championship game until late. You know, he had good games. Good games. No, can't take it away from him. But he got his age is a genius. Finessed Jacksonville. I think he's done in Jacksonville. I don't think he's the quarterback next year.
No, there's no way.
No, you can't come back with him. You know, it was similar.
Quarterback high. It was get Haskins or someone like that.
It was similar to the situation with the Jets had with Mark Sanchez. Like after a certain point, like even if like guys like him as a person, like you can't come back to that guy as a quarterback. You just can't. It's not working. It hasn't worked. You have to try something different. And Jacksonville's in a situation now where, they're going to, have a top 6 or so pick. So they'll be in a situation where they'll be able to draft a guy. I don't think I'm not high on this year's quarterback class myself. If Dwayne Haskins comes out, to me, he's by far, not even a debate, the best quarterback in the class. I'm not in it looks like the Oregon kid's going to stay for another year.
Yeah, I think he's kind of fool's gold.
He's fool's gold too. Justin Herbert, I've watched a couple of his games. He's not that great.
It pains me to say this, but you know who I think is actually really solid?
Who?
That kid from Duke. What's his name? Daniel Jones?
Daniel Jones. Yeah, he's got the measurables. I haven't watched a lot of him.
I think he's going to be good. I think he typically makes smart decisions with the ball. He doesn't force shit, but when he needs to make a play, he can make the play. Like, he's not a gunslinger. Like, I don't really believe in Will Grier either. I think he's too much of a gunslinger.
Yeah, I don't believe in Will Grier either. I don't believe in Will Grier. Drew Lock, I've seen Drew Lock, to me, he's a guy, it feels like one of those guys that everybody's told me, oh, Drew Lock is great. He's great. He's great. And I've watched him and I'm like, okay. Like, it's like that person that keeps nudging you, like, yeah, this guy's good. Try it. He's good. So it's food. It's good. Try it. And it's like, okay.
That's me talking to you about Chick-fil-A.
Yeah. No, but it's just kind of like I haven't really been impressed with Drew Lock. I haven't seen much of Daniel Jones. I'm not going to sit here and be a phony and say like I've watched Duke games. Like, not really. I'm a Duke fan. I'm a Duke basketball fan, but I'm not a Duke football fan. So I haven't really watched.
I mean, admittedly, like I've seen like highlight stuff, but I've seen one like a portion of the game. Like I was out somewhere, eating lunch, and they had Duke football, and for whatever reason, I think they were playing like UMass or something like that, so it was on TV up here. But the quarterback classes can be so crazy because remember people were talking and they were saying, they don't Jared Goff and who else was in that class? Was it Paxton Lynch? And he ended up being.
I got into debates with some of the homies that like Paxton Lynch. I'm like, bro, Paxton Lynch. I saw him against Auburn. He was and that's what I do. I pick certain 3 or 4 games, where I against big time, like these small school quarterbacks or these quarterbacks that like don't play at like Texas. And I watch like Memphis. Memphis is not exactly a quarterback hotbed. So I watch them against big time competition. That's how I judge quarterbacks. Like, how does he play against an Auburn defense, against a Clemson defense, that's why when people were hyping up Ryan Finley, the quarterback from NC State this year, I saw him against Clemson and he was terrible. I was like, nah. Now again, is that fair? Because you don't know what the situation was in that game. Maybe he was missing a receiver. Maybe an offensive lineman was hurt. Maybe the game plan wasn't great. Was it all on the quarterback? So I get that it's not exactly the fairest or the most scientific way to judge a quarterback, but like those are the times where I evaluate guys. And to me, I saw Paxton Lynch against Auburn in a bowl game and I was like, this dude just does not have it. I don't see what the love is with this guy. And I was right about Paxton Lynch. I was right about him. He's been terrible. I was wrong about Dak Prescott. I thought Dak Prescott, I was never impressed with him at Mississippi State. I was like, he was good, but I was just like, Dak Prescott, really? Like, and he's been a solid quarterback in the NFL. I'm not going to sit here and say he's a superstar, but he's been a very good quarterback.
He got crowned like very early.
Well, he's a Dallas Cowboys quarterback, so it's going to happen. So,
he's not without his flaws. But, it's like that quarterback class wasn't seen as perfectly great. Let's see. We had Goff, Wentz.
Goff, Wentz. And quiet as kept, I thought Wentz was going to be good. I only saw a couple of his games, and I was like, "Dude, this dude could play." But you never know, and that's the thing. You never know. You never know. There's been guys that have been bust that I was just like, man. Like I actually thought Matt Leinart was going to be good in the NFL.
I knew he wasn't going to be good.
And he busted, there's guys
arm strength.
There's just guys that, and I've always felt like arm strength to me has kind of been one of the most underrated or overrated aspects of a quarterback. Like people get caught up in arm strength way too much.
This is my thing about arm strength. You can get it done without arm strength, but Matt Leinart couldn't throw to the sidelines. And if you can't throw to the sidelines, if you're throwing ducks, like you got to be able to throw that, that 10-yard out pattern. Yeah. Like you have to be able to throw that, and he couldn't throw it. Like if a little, you got to have a little bit of zip. I mean, Chad Pennington couldn't put the ball down the field, but he could fit the ball in windows.
Well, here's the thing. Everybody brings up Chad Pennington with arm strength, and I always get offended because Chad Pennington is my guy. I rock with Chad. He's probably the best quarterback we've had since Namath. Outside of Vinny for a couple years. I still contest to this day that if Chad Pennington had not gotten hurt, he would have been a very, very good quarterback. Would he have been
his shoulder?
Yeah, his shoulder. I mean, he had a really bad shoulder injury. People forget about that. Like twice. Well, twice. He had this a similar injury the second time, but the first shoulder injury, I never forget it. He hurt his shoulder against, I think it was Buffalo, and he was just never the same after that. His arm. Chad was
his balls had they had zip. They just didn't he just couldn't push the ball down.
He couldn't push the ball downfield. He lost his arm. He never had great arm strength. Like I'm not going to sit here and tell you that, he was basically Jeff George before the injury. Like he never had arm strength or had a great, but he was better at throwing the football before the injury. And then once he got hurt.
Remember when I said Matt Ryan's Elvis Gerback when he gets outside of the dome?
Yeah.
See this Falcons score?
Yeah.
27-7.
You know what? I've always been a defender of Matt Ryan. It's getting harder to defend Matt Ryan. It really is. Like it's getting harder and harder to defend Matt Ryan. Like I've always been a guy that's like, oh, Matt Ryan's a very good quarterback. Cause I remember watching Matt Ryan at BC. I was impressed. I was like, and this guy's going to be very, very good. And he's had a good career. He's been an MVP, but it's just something about Matt Ryan that he's good, but up to a certain point. He's a better Alex Smith.
That's fair.
He's a better Alex Smith.
Alex
it's like
Smith without the mobility.
Yeah, essentially. I mean, he's a better Alex Smith. Like you could win with him. You might even get to a Super Bowl with him. But it's like, is he the guy?
I don't think Matt Ryan can win you a game in the playoffs.
Well, not fair to say that because he did get to a Super Bowl. So, and he played well in that postseason until the late third quarter, fourth quarter. But I just, you know what? I think the biggest problem,
he's one of those guys that can bring you back.
The biggest problem with the Falcons were that they had a once in a lifetime, a franchise altering loss. And I said this the night of the Super Bowl when I did my Super Bowl post-game show. I was like, teams that lose a game like that, it takes a generation to get over it. I really believe that. Like, that's one of those losses that if you're...
This year, they've got the injury bug, like...
They do, but that team still has talent. There's no excuse for that team to be...
Both of their starting safeties are out. Most of their offensive linemen's out. Their starting middle linebacker is out for the season. Like, their key players, like, are out.
I get that.
And
I get that.
Vic Beasley, like, I don't know what happened to this dude. His first year, he led the NFL. I think his second year, he led the NFL in sacks. Now, nothing. But we were talking about developing your game. And all he has is, like, a speed rush. He's got a little bit of a spin move, but he doesn't have any other moves. And offensive linemen are smart now. They're not,
Yeah, I think the issue with the Falcons is that they had that crushing loss, and I think this iteration of the Falcons is done. I don't think you'll ever see this team win a championship. This current crop of Falcons, this current iteration, once you lose a game like that, it's over. Like, I think the same thing happened to the Seahawks. I think when you lose a memorable, like 15 years from now, people are still going to be talking about 28-3. People are still going to be talking about Russell Wilson's interception in the end zone. Like, people are still going to be talking about those losses. Like, these are franchise changing, altering losses. And it takes a generation to get over it. This is Cleveland in the 80s with the drive. Like, that's on that level of loss. And I just think that that's what the Falcons, it's like a malaise. It's like a haze and I know these are like intangibles that people can't really, there's no way to prove that that's actually the case, but that's my opinion. I feel like that it's like a haze, like a dark cloud over that franchise right now. And I think Dan Quinn's not a big time coach. I've never been a big Dan Quinn fan. I think Kyle Shanahan not being there has actually hurt that team too. I think there's a lot of things. Yeah, Sark. I mean, I still don't understand how he has a job.
Nigga, you know why.
Well, yeah, but no, but I mean, yeah, I just think the Falcons are going to be perpetually one of those teams that just disappoints. They don't have it. And again, it's getting harder and harder to defend Matt Ryan. It really is.
Yeah.
But I want to get to you, but I have you on the.
Just happy he got his coach back.
Well, what's your thoughts on that, real quick, before we get before we wrap up and get to the Falcons or to the Bucks and the Celtics? What's your thoughts on that whole Mike McCarthy thing? Because like Dungy went crazy last week, and saying that that's not how you treat your coach. A guy who's been there 11 years, won a Super Bowl for you, and I've always kind of been of two minds of it. Like I could see both sides of the argument, like why you fire a guy in season, like you want to get a head start on coaching, coaching analysis and getting, because a lot of coaches respect other coaches and they're like, hey, I'm not going to talk to you unless, you don't have a coach. You currently still have a coach and I'm not going to do that, blah, blah, blah. And so I get a lot of teams kind of do that to kind of get a head start, to get a jump on teams that are looking at coaches. And then I can see, and then I see why other teams say, you know what, it's not fair to fire a guy in season, let the guy finish out, especially if he's earned that right, let him finish. So I can see both sides of the argument. With Mike McCarthy,
do you really believe in that? Like, let a guy finish the season?
I mean,
I think it's circumstantial, but like,
I think it depends on the coach. Like, I think Todd Bowles. Now, again, I'm biased because I'm a Jets fan. I think he should have been fired 3 weeks ago. Because Todd Bowles hasn't earned the right to finish a season. Like, to me, certain coaches earn that right. Like, they've earned that right to say, you know what, don't fire him in season, fire him at the end of the year. Let him finish it.
I mean, I feel like. It does depend on the coach, and I think it does depend on there's a couple of factors that, like, we always talk about how this is our perception of seeing things. This is our, through our whatever colored glasses that we wear, be it, rose color, whatever, however. The thing is, we don't know what goes on inside this locker room. And a lot of the things that I've seen or that I've heard is that McCarthy and Aaron Rodgers really didn't get along. Like,
yeah.
A lot of people are saying, like, Aaron Rodgers is basically the coach out there. And so that goes a long way too.
I get that. Yeah.
Like, and the thing is like, at some point, your team's only going to go so far with that voice that they've heard for X amount of years.
Right. No, I get it. I get it.
But in that circumstance, if that is the case, then keeping in mind that maybe they haven't lost the locker room completely, but maybe they're just kind of plugging along or whatever, and maybe management feels like they need to, get a breath of fresh air, then I think that's one of the instances that you can kind of let a guy finish the season. But I think something explosive must have happened for them to fire a guy like Mike McCarthy mid-year.
I think it was the loss to Arizona. I really do. I think it was a loss to Arizona. I think that was a bad look.
He's that good of a coach, bro. Honestly,
he's a good coach. I kind of see him in the Andy Reid mode. He's a very good coach. He's not great, but he's a very, very good coach who, he's one
that manages games regularly, especially in close games. I've never been a big fan of his. And I've never, let's think, where would he be without Aaron Rodgers? And they haven't even done a whole lot with Aaron Rodgers.
Well, he won with Brett Favre too. So, I mean, look, I think Mike McCarthy is a very good coach. I think he's Andy Reid light in a lot of ways. Like, I think he's a very good coach. I think a team that hires him is going to get a solid, good coach. I think there's a shelf life with Mike McCarthy. I think that you're right. He should have won more with Aaron Rodgers. Absolutely. Like, the fact that he's only got one Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers, it's kind of criminal in a lot of ways. And now they've been close, but also they've had a lot of just wonky fucking defeats too. I mean, the loss to Arizona a couple years ago on the basically in overtime, Kaepernick, they've had some defeats. The loss in Seattle was just brutal with the dude that muffed. I mean, they would have got to the Super Bowl that year had they just recovered a fucking onside kick. So they've had a lot of wonky losses, too, to be fair.
It's also been very poorly built.
I think it's been more on Ted or on Ted Thompson than it was on Mike McCarthy, honestly. I think Ted Thompson did a poor job of building that team around Aaron Rodgers.
They haven't been able to run the ball.
Exactly. Yeah. I haven't
developed any receivers outside of fucking Jordy.
Yeah. I think Mike McCarthy's a solid NFL head coach. Now, do I think he's Bill Parcells? No. I don't, but I think he's Andy Reid light. I think he's a guy that you can win 10 to 12 games with year in, year out. If you've got a good team and a good quarterback and a good infrastructure around, I think he's a solid NFL head coach. But I think he's a guy that can only take you to a certain point. And I think that's what Andy Reid is too, to a certain point. We'll see this year now if Andy Reid finally breaks that glass ceiling. We'll see.
Yeah.
But
that is fair. I mean, there's a lot of revisionism with Andy Reid. Alvin Kamara is so good.
He's a man. He's a beast. But I was saying just with the coaches and stuff, it's again, if you were to tell me right now, just fire, get it over with. There's people that made the argument, what's the point of making a guy hang in the wind? Just fire him, get it done, get it over with. And I can totally see that argument. I can absolutely, if I'm a GM or I'm an executive, I can totally see well, we're going to fire him anyway. What's the difference between if we fire him December 7th or if we fire him on December 30th? What's the difference? 3 weeks? What's the point? What can we see in these last 3 weeks when you're 4-10 that's going to show me, you really need to keep, I get it. I understand it. I really do. But I also understand, saying, hey, this guy's done a lot for us. He's been here 11 years, been a good soldier, been a very good coach, blah, blah, blah. I get it. Things aren't ending well here. Let's just give him a shot to finish the season out of class and respect. I could see that argument too. To me, I can see both arguments. I really do. I hate to be a centrist in the issue, but I can really see both sides of it. I really do.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I mean, as someone who wanted their head coach fired a couple weeks ago,
same boat.
And now the Bucs are playing okay. They're playing pretty well. I can see it. Like you said, from both sides. I just think in that case...
I just think it's the caliber and the tenure of the coach.
I honestly think they did it to appease Aaron Rodgers. I think that's the thing. There's a video clip, a short clip, and I'll have to find it. I meant to send it to you. But Aaron Rodgers, I guess, gets the call in through the helmet or whatever. And He's looking at the sideline, and you can just see him say, like, that's a stupid fucking call. With, like, this just look of, like...
Disgust.
Like, just pure disgust. Like, somebody had the audacity to make that stupid fucking call. Like, and he says it, like, 3 times. And he's just looking like a parent whose kid just fucked up for the 3rd time. And they're running out of ways to punish him. Like,
yeah.
It's so, I think it's a little bit of everything.
And I mean, I don't doubt that Aaron Rodgers.
Honestly, though, Aaron Rodgers gets a lot of passes.
Well, no, I think he's starting now. I really do think now with the McCarthy thing now, I think he's starting to get some heat this year. I think this year was really the first year that I think, obviously you got the coach, the assistant coach, the coach Moss, the assistant head coach Moss. I forgot the name of the guy. Winston Moss, yeah. He went to Miami.
About this for a second, bro.
Go ahead.
How do you feel about that? Did you know the story behind it?
Yeah, I know the story behind it. He came out and basically I think it was in a tweet or a Facebook post.
It was a tweet, and he basically just said, like, we need to hold all the players accountable, not just number 12. Like, this is it for me. I feel it, like, I understand, but this is like keeping it real goes wrong.
Yeah, I mean, as a coach, was it I think that they just wanted to clean house. I really do. I think they wanted to get rid of assistant.
They wanted to get rid of McCarthy's boys.
Yeah, so I think that was more of that. I think had he made a tweet basically saying, Kumbaya, I love Jesus, like, they still probably would have fired him. I don't know. I don't have any inside info, but I think that they would have fired him anyway, because I think he's McCarthy's boy, and I think it would have been awkward at best. He
was the associate
head coach, yeah. So I think they would have fired him anyway, honestly. Maybe not the way they did or the time they did, but they probably would have gotten rid of him anyway. But so, yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I didn't really think too much of it, honestly. Like, when I seen it or heard it, I was just kind of like, oh, okay, I guess. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't overanalyze it too much. Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, probably not the thing you want to tweet in that situation, especially when your boy just got fired like 2 days or 3 or 4 days prior. So yeah, no, but I didn't really think too much of it. But I mean, the whole Aaron Rodgers thing, I think he's starting to get some heat though. And I think it's deserved, and the one thing about this now, what's that? I didn't see it.
There's some crazy, like, stats about him, like his 4th quarter numbers, about like comebacks and things like that. When I find them, I'll tell you. I wish I had them right here, so that way I could, I came unprepared.
That's all good, man. It's all good. No, but like I was saying about Aaron Rodgers, like
talking about Aaron Rodgers, I should have known we'd be talking about it, but I didn't think we'd come down to this.
Well, we've been kind of all over the place. It's been it's been a kind of like a potpourri of a lot of topics, but with the Aaron, just kind of. Yeah. But just to wrap up on the Aaron Rodgers thing, like, I think Aaron Rodgers is a guy that's going to start getting some heat now. I think the excuses are now done now. Now you can't blame McCarthy anymore. Ted Thompson's gone. McCarthy's gone now. The two guys there's no more fall guys now. At this point now, it's you now. Now it's you. Now you're going to have your own head coach now, or a guy that you're going to, and if anybody sits there and tries to tell me that Aaron Rodgers is not going to have input on the next coach, and he should. He's Aaron fucking Rodgers. Like, absolutely he should. Like, so it's going to be his guy.
The numbers are, Aaron Rodgers is 0-37 when entering the 4th quarter, trailing by more than a point against teams with a winning record. Now, okay, you might say that's a cherry-picked stat.
Yeah. Because how many comebacks in the playoffs have we seen? How many times have we seen him?
I don't know, but if you're playing, it's all. This is what we were saying earlier. It's all about, like, when you look at a schedule and you say, okay, you take a win with a grain of salt, you take a loss with a grain of salt, depending on your team situation, and you take that into consideration when you're gauging, like, okay, this is a good dub. This is a terrible L that we just took. Like, the Packers took an L to the Cardinals. We're one of the worst football teams I think I've ever laid eyes on in my life. It's terrible. They look like the David Boston Cardinals right now.
That's bad.
I've been on fire with these mid-90s references. 2000 references. That's my favorite era of football. But That's when like niggas could get.
Well, we came up on that era, so
that's when they had the jacked up segment. Niggas would like catch CTE, catch. But I mean, it's kind of damning. Like, you know, if you're 0-37 when you're trailing against a team with a winning record, like.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of those little wonky stats. Like, you know, I mean, I think it's.
But is it though? Like niggas was telling me that Aaron Rodgers was the greatest of all time.
He's a hell of a quarterback. Let's not get on here and bash Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is a hell of a quarterback.
Aaron Rodgers. I'm just trying to provide a little
clarity and brevity. Yeah, no, I understand that. You're trying to provide some clarity and some.
Up until this stage, that's the last thing I'll say. Up until this stage, like you said, everybody else was the fall guy.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's true. That's true.
Like exactly what you said with this McCarthy thing, like it put the spotlight on Aaron Rodgers because up until this point, it's always somebody else's fault. Oh, he doesn't have a running game. Oh, Jordy Nelson got hurt. Oh, the defense. Oh, we didn't do this. Oh, Mike McCarthy called a bad game. Oh, we got a bad draw on the road. Blah 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 blah. Like at one point, because if this is Brady or or if this is Brady or if this is Peyton Manning or if this is fucking, you know, anybody really. Yeah. This is Dak Prescott, Ben Roethlisberger.
They're getting heat. Yeah, no, absolutely. No, I agree.
He's my meaning. Even they're catching the heat,
dude. I mean, you're talking to one of the biggest. You know how much I love Aaron Rodgers. I get it. You know, but I mean, even me, it's getting hard to defend it. You know, it's like no more fall guys now. Like it's time for Aaron Rodgers now. Put the big boy pants on and play better. And lead that team back to a Super Bowl. You know, for $34 million. I mean, he's making $34 million like a year. He's the highest paid quarterback, and as he should be. The guy is great. But you know what? It's time now to him deliver, to go. No more blaming guys. No more, it's this guy's fault. It's Ted Thompson. And granted, all those guys shared the blame. Like, they deserve what they got. Ted Thompson did a terrible job building that roster. And Mike McCarthy, I agree. It was time to go. It was time, 11 years in one team. Sometimes the voice gets a little stale. I get that. I understand that. But, no more fall guys anymore now. Now it's on you, Aaron. So I get it. I completely understand it. I can't sit there. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that he shouldn't get heat. Like, he absolutely should get heat. Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm just here for when the criticism goes where the criticism is due.
What's your thoughts on the whole Kareem Hunt situation real quick?
What? These niggas just gotta know better, bro. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and victim blame. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and victim blame, and I'm not gonna defend Kareem Hunt. And if you want to say the kick wasn't that bad, the kick wasn't that bad. If you want to go down that route and you want to die on that hill, he shouldn't have been in the position that he was in anyway, first and foremost. And it's not the first time that he's had incidents like this. Like, there was rumors coming out that he was fighting niggas, and then magically the videos come out because he got bread for that.
Yeah.
But all I really have to say to this is, like, yeah, TMZ sensationalized the headlines. But you have to know you can't put your hands on nobody, and you're a multi-millionaire, or, I mean, you're a star, essentially.
Superstar. He's a superstar.
You can't put your hands on people, let alone a woman.
In this current climate,
nothing's gonna happen to you.
Yeah.
You're in a hotel with a bunch of cameras, and you're drunk with your boys. Like, me and Michelle had this conversation about these athletes, and I just don't understand, bro. If I'm rich, I don't get in trouble now, and if I'm rich, I am super chiller.
Exactly. I don't get it.
You have to know, like, okay, I'm rich. I'm Kareem Hunt. I'm going to go get drunk with my boys in a hotel with a bunch of random women. No, that's a terrible idea. It's a terrible idea.
Terrible.
And he deserves the punishment that he gets. Like, I know a lot of people are like, oh, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't this. It wasn't that. Bro, he was menacing in that video. Like, he was looking for some altercations. And I don't care what she said to him. That's not called... You're a millionaire, bro. Walk away. Like,
fans say that to you in stadiums all the time. So, yeah.
Bro, I just saw it yesterday with my favorite soccer team.
Oh yeah, it's bad in soccer.
like it was bad. Like they literally were yelling racial slurs 3 feet away from Raheem Sterling. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, bro, like, and I know, like, if we're regular people, and like even now, bro, like I know I say like I'll whoop some niggas' asses, but like honestly, at this stage, somebody says something to me, I'll probably just let it slide because it's not worth it. Like, it's not worth going to jail. It's not worth risking your career. It's not worth risking your freedom over it. Yeah. And you mean to tell me I'm supposed to feel sorry for this nigga because he's rich and he's a talented football player and some girl called him the N-word? So what?
Absolutely.
Let her cook. You're drunk. She's drunk. Go somewhere. Because what if you do get violent with her and you're literally a professional athlete. You play in a sport where grown men bigger than you are running full speed trying to take your head off.
Right.
You can seriously hurt somebody. Then what are you going to do? Then are we supposed to feel sorry? Are we supposed to put this sliding scale of damage? Like, oh, well, it wasn't that bad. Like, it's not a car accident. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Right. No, no, dude, I get it. I will say this. He didn't kick her that hard. I just got mad with the sensationalism of the video of the head. That's what pissed me off because I'm like, the dude didn't. Like, to me, and compare, like, I hate when people, like, I hate in the immediacy of something, of an incident or an action or whatever, that we want to constantly compare it to something else. And I get it. It's part of life. It's part of what we do. But, like, to sit there and say that this is on par with Ray Rice, no, it's not. Stop. Ray Rice basically, you know, Deontay Wilder, his wife, in an elevator and dragged her out. Like, I'm sorry. That's it. And Kareem Hunt pushed this girl a couple times and basically undercut her leg. He didn't even kick her. He just like tipped her over. She was so drunk she tipped over. Like, again, I'm not trying to before the liberal police jumps on me. I'm not trying to rationalize what he did. I think it was wrong. I have 2 daughters. If a man I can't even think of the thought that when my daughters are at that age and a man puts their hands on them, what I would do. I don't even want to go there with my mind. You know, but I just hate when we try to compare things. Like, they're not the same. They're not the same. Like when people try to say Louis C.K. is the same as Harvey Weinstein. No, they're not. Louis C.K. did fucked up shit to girls or women or whatever. Allegedly. We weren't there. But he did fucked up shit to women. It's not on par with Harvey Weinstein, locking girls in basements and all the shit, the torment that he caused women in Hollywood for about 20, 30 years. They're not the same. They're not on par. I just hate when people try to do that. Like, they try to find some correlation or try to...
It's whataboutism.
Yeah, it's what about... I hate the whataboutism of it. That being said, you're right. Absolutely right. These athletes... I don't feel sorry for... You know me. I don't feel sorry for these athletes. You put yourself in these precarious situations. You deserve what you get. Like, you're Kareem Hunt. Like, you're a star NFL running back. Why? In this climate, in this culture, bro, in any time. If this was 1970s, I wouldn't understand why these dudes get in trouble. But now more than ever, and this climate with women and sexual harassment and domestic, the heightened awareness on these issues, as this should be, by the way, for the record. Like, why are you even putting yourself in these situations? Why? I'm not trying to be caught dead in no hotel room as a black athlete with a white woman. No way. Nope.
Yeah. And this is the thing. These
we
guys,
good.
They need to go through some sort of awareness or just some social awareness.
It's stupidity.
You are rich. Okay? And even this even goes beyond the racial implications of it, because I do believe that there are racial implications in this, because the optics never look good.
Never.
To
absolutely
a lot of people
not
in this country. Like myself, I'm biracial, so I don't give a fuck. But there's a lot of people that don't like a black man with a white woman. So you have those negative optics as is, and especially you're a football player. So that already degrades your value as a member of society. You're just seen as a guy that carries a fucking leather ball around. And that's bad in and of itself. But the thing is that you're a group of men. He's with his boys, and his boys are literally trying to pull him away.
Yeah.
You have to know, like, all right, listen, these teams need to have an advisor. The NFL needs that. the teams need to have an advisor. Fuck the NFL, because I don't trust the NFL to do anything.
But you know what? You can't babysit these guys. I get it, dog. I get it.
I'm not saying that you have to babysit them. But when you draft guys, just like they have the rookie symposium, these guys need to have someone that says, listen, here's what you have going on. It may not look like it to you, but this is how you're viewed. X, Y, C, A, B, C, D, E. So, here are the situations that you probably should avoid being at. If you're in a club, okay, cool. Visible space.
Right.
Stay the fuck away from hotels.
Right.
You don't need to be in a hotel.
Right.
Unless you're in a team hotel. Don't be bringing random women back to your hotel. If you do, maybe if it's a one-on-one situation, don't be with your homies.
Right.
Because we all know football players are a bunch of drunk savages when they get riled up, because it's the nature of the game that they play in. It's never a good idea. 4, 5, 6 dudes, 2, 3, 4 girls. It's never gonna be a good look. Regardless of whether happens or not. Never a good look. And so much shit can be perceived to have been done. And what you just said a minute ago with, the Me Too and sexual harassment and the heightened awareness, that's 1,000% observed. Now the spotlight and the microscope's gonna be bigger on these types of quote unquote parties. It's not a good look, bro. And I don't, like, these teams need to have somebody like, listen, this is not.
But I mean, do you really think that they don't, though, Jet? Like, do you, like, I'm sure these teams. I mean, these NFL teams
these teams don't give a fuck.
No,
they knew about the shit that happened with Kareem Hunt, and they let that shit rock.
No, what I'm saying, I'm not saying it from the. I'm the first guy to bash the NFL when necessary. That being said, like, I'm sure these teams talk to these players. I'm sure they have meetings and counseling stuff about, hey, don't go out there and do stupid shit. Like, I get it. It's like me and you were both in the military. Like, we had safety briefings every Friday. Guess what? Sunday, Monday morning, somebody was on the blotter report. Like, somebody got in trouble. Somebody did something stupid. Like, you could counsel guys from now to the end of time. People are still going to do stupid shit. I blame the individual. I blame the person. True. Like, people are going to do stupid. They do dumb shit. Like, why go out? Like, me, dog. Maybe because I'm 30 now and, like, I've seen my clubbing and I've done it. I've lived it. I've had my time in the sun. Like, I'm over it now. But, bro, why even go out? Just hang out. Go, if you got a girl, go travel with your girl. You got money. Just chill. Like, why are you getting in trouble? Why are you doing these stupid things? Like, I just don't understand it. And these guys continuously put themselves in these situations. It's hard for me to feel sorry for you. It's hard. I cannot. Like Reuben Foster, another one, beating up your girlfriend. Like, why?
Yeah. There's not a thing that says, like, hey, is this a good look? Like, they don't have this, like, good look, like, detector.
And you know what? And I know some people are going to say, well, it's football and it's a barbaric sport and, violence is a part of it. I don't want to hear that bullshit. Because Tom Brady doesn't beat up Giselle Bunsen. He doesn't throw on her bed of guns. Curtis Martin didn't assault his wife. He didn't assault Tyra Banks when they were dating. Offensive line. I don't hear stories of offensive linemen beating up their girlfriends or, teabagging girls in a locker room. Like, I'm so over that. Okay. The majority of these guys are solid citizens that do the right things. These fucking knuckleheads that do dumb shit. Like, stop doing dumb shit. Enough. Like, I'm so, like, we're so quick to try to justify it. Oh, it's the nature of the sport. It's this, it's that. I'm so over that. What
I hate on top of that.
How come quarterbacks don't beat up their girlfriends?
Is it this, there's this thin veil of, like, well, they probably grew up in a one-parent household, or they're not used to having money, or they're not used to this. And I'm like, bruh, like, none of that shit needed to be said, but we see this being reported that way. Like, oh, they grew up in a not so great neighborhood. And it's like, there's a baseball players that fucking came straight off a boat from Cuba, and you don't see these niggas wilding out.
Exactly. And you know what? I grew up in a single parent home, I grew up in a single parent home. I grew up in some shady neighborhoods, and you know what? I'm a healthy contributing member of society. I don't sit there and do, and again, I will say I was no angel growing up, but I don't have a record. I've never beat up anybody. I've never been arrested. I've never done any crime. So I'm so over that shit. Like, stop. I get it that it's a contributing factor. I'm not, you are a product of your environment to a certain extent, but at some point that can't be a crutch and it can't be an excuse.
It can't be. It's, you know, and you know me, you know what I study.
Yeah.
And I can talk about this all day, every day about how that has a factor, but that's never an excuse. It's a contributor, but it's not an excuse. It can be a reason why something happens, but it's not the reason that it happens, nor should it be used as an excuse. Like, it still needs to be punished because of that. Like, that's not, it doesn't, so I mean, like, the product can be used as an explanation to this, but like, you only see this shit when they're talking about football. Like, you don't see, you know, and we all know why, but like, the thing is that like, it's never an excuse. It's never an observation like, oh, well, it's okay because you grew up, you know, in an area that has, you grew up in Mississippi or you grew up on the south side of Chicago. It's a terrible neighborhood, blah, 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 blah. Like, niggas still gonna do shit, but like, you only see this when it comes to, football players. Like, you don't hear this with like, you know, movie stars and shit. And, you know, I see a lot of people talking about Kareem Hunt, and they're like, oh, Kareem Hunt needs to have a lifetime ban. And I don't want to hear, like, you know, it's a privilege to play in the NFL and all this bullshit. Because if you do that, if you start handing out quote-unquote bans from people, and you take away their ability to make their livelihood, then I want to see all these police officers, because police officers get confused or accused and convicted and commit domestic violence at a higher rate than normal citizens. And we've seen people in the military on active duty, you know, that's an epidemic military. So I want to see everybody in trouble for that too. I want to see these cops hand over their badges and their guns. I want to see niggas get their 214. And I want to see dishonorable discharges for these guys in the military that do it too.
Wait. You're trying to hold police officers accountable? Don't do that. That's illegal. Yeah.
Imagine that. It's what a crazy concept.
I know, right?
But you see, and this is the racial divide that very few people pick up on that aren't, you know, victims of it in this country. It's this America first. It's football is America's game, and it's this thinly veiled. This applies to one group, but not the other group, because, you know, everyone says, "Oh, it's a privilege to play in the NFL," but these guys work just as hard as everybody else does. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? They've sacrificed so much to get to this point in their career. They spend time away from their families just like everybody else. Yeah, they're making millions of dollars, but they generate millions of dollars. So, like, it's all fair across the scale for the most part. You know what I mean? And it's just, you don't hear people accused of this, you know? So if you want to go down that route, that's cool. And I think Shannon Sharp had a nice, he was talking about it too. And I just don't think you should take away a guy. Dante Stallworth killed somebody.
Yeah.
Playing. Yeah. Leonard Little was driving drunk, rear ended someone, and they died.
Yeah. What's the defensive lineman for the Cowboys that killed his teammate drunk and was on the sideline the next day? Yep. I still can't get over that shit. I still
kicking from the Giants. Yeah, had his wife. Yeah, shit. Like, come on, bro.
But here's
they didn't remove that nigga from Madden.
No,
but a week later they put a patch and took Kareem Hunt out of Madden.
Yeah, it's.
We see this shit.
Yeah, no. I here's the thing with that: the people that talk about these lifetime bans, they're full of shit, because the Redskins went out and signed Reuben Foster. What? Like, and here's the thing, and I'm sorry.
That was the next day.
That was the next day. And here's and you know what? Look, the Redskins are losing 40-0 today, and it couldn't have happened to a better organization, because the Redskins basically, they had discussions on signing Colin Kaepernick, but they didn't sign him. The fact that Kellen Clemens got a workout with the Redskins, but Colin Kaepernick didn't. Look, like, and I'm not trying to mix the Colin Kaepernick situation, but it relates in a certain way. Like, Colin Kaepernick has yet to get a legitimate opportunity. And I know when people say, well, he would have signed with the Ravens had his girl not popped off. I don't want to hear none of that bullshit. The Redskins went out and signed Reuben Foster. And then tell me that they can't sign Colin Kaepernick? Like, come on. But then you work out Kellen Clemens?
Kellen Clemens is bad. But they signed
Josh Johnson. playing on his 12th team in the NFL. 12th team. Come on. I wrote the other day when I was on Twitter or Facebook, are these NFL teams trolling right now? You know what? I would respect these teams if these owners all came out together and said, you know what we feel what Colin Kaepernick did was terrible and we're not going to allow him in our league again. I would hate it and I think they would all be stupid, but you know what? I would respect it because at least they're honest. But don't lie to me. Don't insult my intelligence and tell me that, you're so outraged about Colin Kaepernick, but you signed Reuben Foster. Kareem Hunt's going to play again. And I won't be a phony. I'm a Jets fan. I would love the Jets to sign Kareem Hunt next year after he's off the fucking exempt list. If that even happens next year or the year after. I won't be a phony because I think a lot of this is being phony too. I'm not going to be a phony. I'm a phony. Call me a phony. I can sit here and rant on my little pulpit here and say how these guys are idiots and retarded and blah, 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 blah. And the next day as a fan be like, Jets, hey, pick up Kareem Hunt. Let's go. We need him.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
I said this too. And with my rant withstanding, I still do, these dudes they're employees. And if Kareem Hunt gives my Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who don't have a good running back situation, if this team believes that he's getting his shit in order and they want to sign him, fuck it. Because I'm not going to sit here and play holier than thou, because you and I both know that if you're winning, winning is the ultimate eraser of bullshit.
Yep.
Niggas will ignore everything and be like, hey, we winning though.
Exactly. Exactly.
So it's funny because the teams will be like, oh, we don't want these guys and we don't want to do this. Every time there's a guy that's rumored to have what do they call it when they're coming out of college? Character issues, right?
Character issues. They always say? Yeah. Let's not forget on the same topic of that, Peyton Manning also sexually assaulted someone in college.
Did he teabag someone?
Yeah, he teabagged the team trainer. Yeah. And she sued and got paid off.
And this nigga's making fucking nationwide commercials singing with it's just let's not forget that. I know that's been kind of erased in the annals of history. That happened allegedly anyway. I don't know we weren't there, but allegedly it happened. She got paid off, so
yeah, you don't pay anybody if it didn't happen.
Shout out to
me. But hey, another transition. Speaking of your Bucks, man, what's the future looking like for the Tampa Bay Bucks?
You know what, dog? I honestly have no fucking clue. There's 4 weeks ago, you and I were talking, and I was like, bruh, blow it all up. Jameis is going to have to get out of town. I think we're going to have to get a new quarterback next year.
Doesn't Deshaun want to be traded too?
Deshaun wanted to be traded. I'm going to remind me, stick a pin in that one. I'm going to come back to that real quick. Because there's something to that. Also with our front office being fucking morons. But again, so around the Bengals game, Jameis played terribly. I don't think he was ready to play. He played terribly. This team they waited too long to fire Mike Smith. We had 1 turnover week 1 or week 2, I think. And then we didn't get one until 2 weeks ago. And we fired the defensive coordinator, Mike Smith. Was terrible. Was giving up a 76% completion percentage to opposing quarterbacks, which is 2 percentage points higher than the NFL record of worst, opposing completion percentage. So we finally fired Mike Smith 2 weeks late. Defense looks good under our old linebackers coach, Mark Duffner. These niggas are getting interceptions and fumbles and, we had a guy that we picked up off the streets with 3 picks on Cam Newton last week. Mm-hmm. Former MVP Cam Newton. And the Bucs look like a solid football team. We don't look so lost. And Jameis has played really, really, really well. I don't think he's thrown an interception since the Bills game or that Bengals game.
Yeah.
And, he's not throwing for 400 yards, a game. But, that's fine. He's getting in the mid-250s to the 300s. Throwing 2 or 3 touchdowns. He's not throwing interceptions. He's getting it done on the ground. He had 40-some rushing yards last week. He was our leading rusher 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
And I think I'm not I'm not a fan of Dirk Cutter. I think he coaches like a pussy sometimes, and I think he mismanages games. But he's got this team playing pretty well. And
don't get finessed. Don't fall for it.
This is the thing. This is the thing. Yeah, we're done. Mark Ingram just fucking beast moded on niggas. But we're out our starting middle linebacker, our secondary. We have guys that we picked off the trash heap playing back there. Our depth has been disseminated. It's not there, and our offense has held it together for the most part, even with the ups and downs from Fitz and Jameis. Our GM has to go. Like, our GM 100% has to go.
Who's your GM again?
Jason Light.
Oh, okay. I always want to say it's Mark Dominic or whoever it was.
No, he's Mark Dominic, almost Mark Dominic back. So here's the thing. We drafted Vita Vea from Washington.
Yeah.
And I get it. You got to build in the trenches. And Vita Vea looks like he can be a problem. Against the Redskins or against the 49ers, had a monstrous coming out game. Hasn't really been seen much yet. You take him over Derwin James, who looks like a top 3 safety in the league right now as a rookie, in a position that we haven't had a strength at strong safety or safety period in a long, long, long time, since Rondé Barber left. And you pass on Derwin James, who's a hometown kid. He's from the next town over. You leave him alone. You draft Vita Vea, who misses half of the season, which is not his fault. You know what I mean? An injury is an injury,
Yeah.
But then in the second round, we need corners. We need a running back. Darius Geis is there. I think they passed on Darius Geis. They draft Ronald Jones. Ronald Jones can't even see the field. I don't think he's broke 100 rushing yards for the season yet. He's been a healthy scratch. He gets a couple carries a game, but he can't do shit. They said he can't pick up the offense. But you have running backs that are there. Like, Philip Lindsay was undrafted, and look at him tearing it up in Denver.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the talent evaluation just isn't there. We've ignored offensive line. Caleb Benenoch has been a turnstile at right guard, getting Jameis and Fitz killed out there. And that's part of the reason we can't run the ball. We paid Ryan Jensen. He's the highest paid center in the league, and he picks up at least 2 personal fouls a game for unnecessary roughness. Or he just gets fucking pancaked.
Only on any given Sunday will you give a deep dissertation of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers season.
And, hey, and this is a team that a lot of people thought, like,
could be a playoff team. Hey, I was sipping the Kool-Aid a couple weeks ago, a few early in the season when Fitzpatrick was playing well, and I was like, I can see this being another 2015 Jets where they're like 10-5, playoff bound, and Fitzpatrick finds a way to blow it.
Even now, we're not going to win this game against the Saints, but if we win this game, we're still in the playoff hunt.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Barely, but yeah.
Hey, I'll take it. We haven't seen the playoffs since W was in office. Well, we were at Fort Gordon the last time the Bucs made the playoffs.
Wow, that's crazy when you think about it. Yeah,
so
yeah.
This is. I say all of that to say that. You know what I'm saying? So, our GM just has to go. He spent the second rounder on a kicker. A couple years ago, he's not on the team anymore. We failed to address the offensive line. We drafted MJ Stewart, who is a cornerback, but he is not fast enough to play in the slot. Nobody's ever heard of him. He had like a 3rd round grade, 4th round grade. And we drafted him with one of our high 2nd round picks. We ended up getting Carlton Davis, who I think is going to be a good player from Auburn. He's been banged up, but rookie corners have a really hard time adjusting. Like, that's probably the hardest position to play outside of quarterback.
Coming in early, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, coming in early. Yeah. So, it's really fucking hard. And I think at one point during I think it was the Bengals game where Dirk Cutter took back the play calling. He wasn't calling plays, and the offense looked like dog shit. And it's no secret Jameis has been playing well when Todd Monken's been playing. Has been calling plays, and Jameis does have his limitations. He can't hit Deshaun Jackson on a deep ball.
Look,
to save his fucking life.
Look, I would love to continue to hear this soliloquy of yours, but I'm getting bored. Let's get to the nitty gritty of it. Is Jameis Winston the guy next year and going forward or not?
Yes.
So you're still gonna die on that hill.
I mean, he's not playing bad now.
He's not.
He's playing well. Like, I'm not even going to do the bullshit hedge my, like, he's playing well. Like,
if I was cynic, but okay, so let me be the cynic for a second and say, well, he's playing well in somewhat meaningless games. When you guys needed him to play well, he didn't play well. So I just the interesting where we needed him. Yeah,
we needed him to play well.
Yeah, he didn't play well that game.
That's the game that Dirk Cutter took. He had a bad game.
Well,
let me not fucking pussyfoot around it. He had a terrible fucking game. That's one of the worst quarterback games I've ever seen. However, if you look at a bigger picture of it, the team was all over the place that game. I don't think that he should have been out there to begin with.
Yeah, I mean, the whole situation's been mismanaged because I don't think Kaepernick. I don't think that Fitzpatrick should have been taken out of the game in that Bears loss. Like, I really don't. That game was just one of those games. I don't think you make a quarterback change, especially because Fitzpatrick had been playing well leading up to that game. I know the Pittsburgh game was a little, where the game, I think the Pittsburgh game was the game before that where he threw the 3 interceptions, but he almost led you guys to a comeback, played well. I don't think I keep saying Kaepernick. I want to say Kaepernick's on my mind apparently, but Fitzpatrick, had played well up to that point. I don't feel like you make a quarterback change right then, even after a 40-point beatdown. Like, I don't think that was the time to do that. So they played yo-yo with the quarterback position for a couple games. Then they went back to Fitzpatrick. I just think the whole situation was mismanaged. The issue that I have with the Buccaneers that's going to be interesting to see is this another Blake Bortles situation at a lesser level, but
well, James is better than Blake.
Well, yes, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that this is going to be another situation where a team is going to be tugged on the heartstrings, so to speak, and say, well, look at him. He played well the last 4 or 5 games and, maybe he's coming into his own. Maybe he's, and I don't want it to be a situation for you. I don't care, but for you where, hey, I'm a Jets fan. It's good to hear another team and another guy have a torturous experience watching football.
I don't think that it's the same thing. I don't think that the situation.
I mean, it's a similar situation because it's like if you bring him back next year,
we've never seen Blake Bortles even look like the guy. Like, he's been shit.
I'm not saying that. I'm not arguing that. I'm not arguing that.
The situation is different though.
I'm not arguing.
We've seen Jameis look like a franchise guy.
I'm not arguing that. Yes, I agree with you. Jameis Winston as a quarterback is better than Blake Bortles, but that's not saying much. What I'm saying is I don't want it to be the same scenario as far as how the offseason played out, where you don't at least investigate the quarterback situation outside of Jameis Winston, meaning either bring in a guy to compete with Jameis Winston that's younger than Fitzpatrick, or a young quarterback in the draft. Like, my situation, the thing I'm trying to say is I don't want it to be another Blake Bortles situation like Jacksonville where, hey, he's our guy. He played well for us at the end of last year. We're going to hitch our wagons on this. And then you're 4-9 next year. And then you're talking about Jameis Winston's future again.
So we have Jameis's option for next year. So
you guys are going to pick up that option and pay him what, $20 million?
$20 million.
Oh my God. $20 million for Jameis Winston? Oh,
but what else do you do?
I get it. I get it.
This quarterback draft is
not great.
Great.
I understand.
So my plan, me personally, I invest some of these picks into the defense. We need corners. We could probably use another pass rusher. We need an offensive lineman. If we even run the ball at the NFL average, I think it makes Jameis Winston look better.
Okay.
I think it makes the team better.
Saying all that, you invest in saying all that, you get rid of Dirk Cutter, you bring in a solid head coach, whoever that may be, whoever. We can debate that at a later time. You bring in a solid head coach, a good offensive coordinator, invest on the defense, all that, blah, 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 blah. Next year, they're 4-9. Jameis gets out of the gate slow, doesn't play well, for whatever the reason. I know you could say I'm being a hater and cynical and all that. Fine. I'm giving you a very, very doable solution here. It could happen. It absolutely could happen. I don't even think you don't doubt that it could happen. 4-9 next year, then where are you as a franchise right now? At that point then.
Well, at that stage, you're not committed to him. You're only committed to him through next year.
True, but then you've again delayed the quarterback situation for another year.
You have, but you can't you can't delay it further by locking him in the money, which is the Blake Bortles situation. You can't not put your faith in him because we all know quarterback's confidence can make or break him. So you probably have to go to the table and say, okay, like, Jameis, this is your year. You know what I mean? Whether you turn into, fucking, I don't know, Dante Culpepper or...
Oh, next year's the year. I agree with you. Next year is the... I agree with you. Like, if I was a GM, I would say...
If we kept Fitz in, this team would have been a lot worse off, I think. So I think to answer your question, you bring him in and you say, Jameis, we're all adults here. We're going to put all this on the table. Like, we need you to play well. You need you to play well in order to take this team. We have elite offensive talent. We need a capable defense. So can you be the guy to drive the ship? No pun intended.
And stay out of trouble.
Because
that's another element of this, too.
Stay out of trouble actually should probably...
That's another element of this, too, that people are not talking about.
To be fair, that Uber incident was a couple years ago. So
yes, true.
But still, it's still him being in trouble. So you're absolutely right. Like, okay, Jameis, you need to prove us that, you need to prove to us that you can stay out of trouble. That you could be in...
And you know what bothers me about that Uber situation? I know it was a couple years ago. But you know what bothers is that it's now the second situation where you've had allegedly sexual assault.
Yeah, for sure.
Whatever.
Sure. And I don't want to sugarcoat
and like, one is bad enough, but two, again, I'm not there. You weren't there. Only God and those two people know what happened that night. Because even the police report sometimes can be a little sketchy. My issue is that's two now. Like, dude, you yet to learn your lesson. Like, who is your advisor? Who is the people? I think the whole Jameis Winston situation is very, very interesting from a lot of different perspectives. It's going to be interesting to see what the Bucs do. Like, I agree with you, though. I think if I was running the Bucs, I think I would say, hey, next year is your year. No excuses, no Fitzpatrick, no nothing. You're coming in as the starter next year. This is your year, Jameis. That's it. It's up to you now. If you don't get it done, you can't blame anybody else. This is your fault.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And part of the reason that we have the quarterback carousel is due in part from Jameis getting in fucking trouble and not keeping his hands to himself. He created that problem, and I think he's done a good job of coming back, and trying to prove to his teammates, hey, I'm here for y'all. Like, I fucked up. Like, he has, by all accounts, like, taken.
I would hope.
You have to. You have to. You're a grown ass man. You're the quarterback of a franchise who has been floundering for decades, essentially. Step up and take your responsibility. But it's one thing to say, hey, I fucked up. But to go to your teammates and ask them for your forgiveness and to show them that you want to lead this team, and they've taken to him outside of Deshaun Jackson, because Deshaun Jackson really don't fuck with him. And our offensive actually has performed better with D-Jack off the field. So, and that nigga don't be trying hard when the ball don't come to him.
Deshaun's Deshaun. Deshaun's Deshaun.
He's Deshaun. He's Deshaun. And I knew this was going to happen. I think you and I talked about
it's going to happen.
Signing King. I think you and I both were like, it's going to be cool. He starts bitching about targets and, whatever. So with that being said, I think the Bucs, they could have put their foot down and said, you know what, Jameis, we're not picking up your option for next year. Do what you got to do this year. Some other team's going to sign you. Maybe you'll be a capable quarterback somewhere else, but you're not going to do it here in Tampa. If the Bucs did that, I don't think anybody would have batted an eye. You can say what you want about him, his age, and his, whatever he's done up until the stage of his career. A lot good, a lot bad. On the field. So, that shit happens, and I think the smart play is you just, okay, we're going to pay you $20 million, and maybe we'll shed some salary somewhere else, and we're not really, the team's not really in a position to spend a high draft pick on a quarterback because they need help at linebacker, they need help at guard, they need help at corner. So it'll be interesting what they do in the draft, and you and I can talk about that, after the season starts wrapping up, where we think guys are going to go and this and that, what our teams are going to do. We'll put our GM and president hats on. But I think the Bucs made the right decision bringing him back. Jameis has had a pretty good year so far. Starting quarterback numbers, he's within the league average, notwithstanding that Bengals game where he threw all those fucking interceptions, which was really bad. it makes for an interesting year because, like we said before, this team's got offensive talent, and they showed it at the beginning of the year, and they're still one of the highest ranked offenses in the league. So it's one of those things, and Jameis 100% has to fucking keep his hands to himself and keep continuing to play like he's been playing, not turning the ball over. It's as simple as that. Don't fucking turn the ball over. Don't make dumbass throws. Don't try to do too much. Play within the game. Take what the defense gives you. And I think that's all we can ask for any of our quarterbacks to do is to fucking take what the defense gives you. But some of these guys, these gunslingers, these, Brett Favre types that, think that they can make any throw and they can make any play. Sometimes it's the defensive play to make. So sometimes you just got to make it work for you and live to fight another day. But yeah, our slim chances of playoffs, if we won out, are gone because the Saints end up coming back and are clapping us. But I think Dirk Cutter has to go. I think
he's gonna go. I think barring a.
I think he needed to make the playoffs to save his fucking job.
Yeah. I agree. I think he's gonna go.
Our owners suck. I think a lot of us.
Oh, the Glazers are just terrible. The Glazers are terrible. Everybody knows that. Everybody who follows football knows the Glazers are fucking terrible.
We have probably the top 3 to 5 horrible ownership group. I can't think of who's worse than us, honestly.
Oh, the Bengals. The Bengals
been making the playoffs though,
but their ownership is terrible. Jimmy Haslam is terrible.
Browns.
Yeah.
Browns. Browns and the Browns.
Yeah. So we were going to get into the Celtics, but I figured you bored half of America right now with this soliloquy about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Celtics are turning it around.
They're turning it around. That's why I was like, you know what? Let's wait on the Celtics. I'll have you on the show in a few weeks and see where the Celtics are. Probably closer to the All-Star break.
It's hard to tell. It's
right now. I still feel like it's too early right now. Right now,
it's way too early.
Yeah, right now.
Hayward looks like he's getting his legs back, which is important. He played like shit last night. But that's to be expected from a guy coming back from a major injury who hasn't played basketball in a year.
Yeah. No,
Tatum's coming back.
Tatum's, I think the Celtics are going to be fine at the end of the day. I really do. I think that you've got the coach, you've got the GM, you've got the players. I do think that they'll probably make a trade. I don't know what level of trade they're going to make, but I think they will make a trade.
I think they need to figure out. They need a big.
Yeah, we'll get into it. We'll get into it when we get closer.
They need a big or an actual 2-guard. Jalen's been good off the bench, but I like Jaylen Brown. But I think we actually need some sort of shot creator at the 2.
Yeah, we'll get into it. We'll get into it as we get closer to the All-Star break and we start figuring out. Because right now, even now, it's still a little. I know we're for some teams it's 20-something, 30 games in. Almost a quarter of the season already, halfway done. But it's to me in the NBA, it's 82 game season. Really after about 40 games, that's when you really start getting a good gauge of okay, this is this is that, this team is that, this team is that. You know what I mean?
It's people just love to get caught up in the by the moment.
Well, it's 2018. Shit. It's news and information at your fingertips, and it's a 24-hour news cycle. So it's it is what it is. But yeah, man, I think I'll let you go. I've monopolized your time long enough, and again, you've put half of us to sleep, including me, with that soliloquy about Tampa.
Hey, you asked, nigga.
Well, hey, we were talking about football, so I figured we'd bring up your whack-ass Bucks, but...
I mean...
I know what you're going to say, so I know what you're going to say. I'm going to disarm you before you say it. I know, my Jets are fucking terrible. Todd Bowles needs to be on the first flight out.
Hey, what happened to Todd Bowles? I thought he had a lot of promise.
When was the promise? In college? As a player? As a player? As a defensive coordinator? Because it hasn't been as a coach.
Todd Bowles, good coach. I like this move.
When I turned on Todd Bowles, week 17 of the 2015 season, 10-5, going into Buffalo against Rex and the Bills team that was terrible, absolute dog shit. And we fucking just did not come out ready to play, prepared to play. And ever since then, I've turned on that guy. I knew it. It's just something that was a bad omen right there. And then ever since then, we go 5-11, 5-11. And then now this year, we're just completely falling apart. And yeah, so that's it. I won't get into a soliloquy about the Jets because then this podcast will really turn for the worse. So
that shit wouldn't even be a soliloquy. You'd just be fucking angry and young.
Oh, yes. Yeah. It wouldn't be a soliloquy. I'd be angry. I'd be flipping fucking tables over and just doing a whole bunch of crazy shit. So
he's back to being was he a defensive coordinator, right?
Yeah.
How y'all defense playing?
Terrible. No, not terrible. Our defense is a typical Jets defense. Statistically, we're very good, and we play well in certain spots, but in the money spots, and that's how I grade a defense. In the money spots, when the game is on the line, the defense. Defense to me, a great defense makes 4 to 5 plays throughout a ball game to win a game. That's a great defense. It makes 4 to 5 key stops in a game that helps you maintain a lead. Keep a deficit. And help allow your quarterback or your offense to win a game for you. That's a great defense.
Chiefs just tied it up with the Ravens, 24-24.
Yeah, my internet just shut out on my views, so I got to reset it. So I haven't been watching Red Zone, but I will be for the record. Xfinity is fucking terrible, but yeah, God, that's another rant that we won't get into.
Yeah, If you want to see angry me, then
yeah. But anyway, man, thank you for joining me on the show. Really appreciate it, man.
Good to be back.
Always, man. I know. Tell me about it. Before I let you go, man, just plug your social media, where people can find you, people want to talk to you, and get your harebrained sports opinions. Go.
Don't even start. But yeah, y'all can follow me on social media. Everything is the same. It's Jujitsu, JUTTJITSU. I'll be on Twitter mostly. But yeah, hot takes, send them my way. So, follow me there. I don't talk about the Bucks all the time, but
thank God.
I mean, this is the most I've talked about the Bucks in like 6 months. So outside talking to I talked to my nephew about the Bucks because he inherited this team from me, and I feel really bad about it.
Poor man. Yeah. I shouldn't be. I'm talking all this shit. I'm a Jets fan. God Almighty.
Yeah. Damn, you got your kids Jets fans now too.
Nah, they don't know. They don't know better. I'm debating whether I want to put Nicholas to this torture.
Yeah, you better put him down in front of a soccer game or something.
Yeah. Anyways, man. Appreciate.
Real quick, shout out to USA's Rugby Sevens teams for back-to-back silver medals and number 1 in the 7 series standings right now. Y'all collapsed when the Cup final was on.
I knew we wasn't gonna get to a show without this shit.
Back-to-back weeks, you niggas collapsed and couldn't play into the spotlights. But hey, back-to-back silvers is a step in the right direction, and so far you're at the top of the table. We'll see what happens because Fiji are fucking beasts. But watch Rugby Sevens. It's a great alternative to football for those of you that don't fuck with the NFL.
The protesters out there. Oh, man.
Stronger men than me.
Only on Any Given Sunday, bro. You're going to get a dissertation of the Bucks, a debate about Chick-fil-A, and USA Rugby.
Yeah.
That's what makes this podcast what it is, yo. You know what I mean? All right, man. I appreciate you for being on the show, man. We'll definitely have you on in 2019. Damn, it's crazy. Year's almost over. 2019. Yeah, we'll have you on by the All-Star break.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, no doubt, man. I'll holler at you offline then.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, bro.
Peace out.
Peace. You are listening to Any Given Sunday, a Sunday morning sports conversation. Please subscribe to this podcast on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Google Play, Podbean, and all other podcasting services. Follow us on Facebook at Any Given Sunday, on Twitter at AGS Pod, and on Instagram at AGS Podcast. Thank you for listening and enjoy the show. Welcome back. That's it for this week's show. No ending segment. We're still working on an ending segment for the show. Probably have one by next week. But for this week, man, I just want to say, to end the show, I just want to say thank you to every single person that has listened to me over the last 2 years, that has followed me, that has listened to all the shows, that has reached out, given their feedback, everything, man. The fans of this podcast are the reason that I still do this, honestly, besides the fact that I love it. I've always said it before. I'll say it again. You know, as a podcaster, your fans are everything, you know, because if people are not listening to your show, you can have the dopest show around, but if people are not listening and not following your show, it means absolutely nothing. So, from the bottom of my heart, truly, truly, truly thank you for listening, for subscribing, for following, for supporting the show for as long as you guys have. And, thank you for everybody that loved and supported Technical Foul Podcast. That's the old chapter. We're on to a new chapter, new, and I honestly feel better things on any given Sunday, man. So thank you for the support, and we're here every Sunday. No more days off, no more hiatuses. Like, we're here every Sunday. Every Sunday we're here. So thank you for listening. Thank you for subscribing. Keep listening. Tell your friends, tell your girlfriends, tell your girlfriend's guy friends, tell your girlfriend's works husbands. Yes, they do have those, apparently. Yeah, no, seriously, no, tell everybody about the show. And, if you like the show, if you like what you're hearing, if you really like what we're doing here, drop us a review on iTunes, man. Those reviews and support are everything. So, with that said, I am out of here. I am your host, Manuel Brown. Please have a safe, happy, blessed work week, and we'll catch you guys next week on the Any Given Sunday podcast.
Serious sound.